I put my dad in the street against a heavyweight.
I've gone back to the dad. I've punched him a few more
There's 5
times.
blokes outside my front door. Can you come and help
One
me?
hell of a fucking story, so stay tuned.
This is Kugan Cassius for IFL TV, proudly sponsored by Everlast. It's fight week. Shields Marshall, Mayer Baumgardner. Huge week in London, the capital. I'm joined by Mr. Johnny Nelson, esteemed pundit, former cruiserweight king of the world, all-round sex god, Johnny Nelson. How are you, mate?
Number one, first of all, it was nice to see you outside your hotel this morning, walking out in your flip-flops and your cool tracksuit bottom, smoking a cigarette like you own the hotel. And I'm like thinking, do you ever go home? Because you were crack of dawn, man. Crack of dawn, you were there outside fagging it like you owned the place. But it was nice, so thank you for letting me stay in your hotel. But yeah, good fight week started.
What? I don't know what the fuck that was, but we move.
Yeah.
Let's talk about this week first. It seemed a bit of a gamble to a certain degree. All-female card, no disrespect, but it did. I thought it was a great idea, but I thought the reality of it we'll see in fight week. But as we see from yesterday and over the last few days, the response to this has been great because I think everyone's embracing it for what it is. And we've got 2 stunning main and co-main events for the week, so I'm all aboard this. Are you?
I think what's made this attractive is there's a lot of women in power. We've got a new female prime minister as well. There's a lot of women in power that aren't even bothered or interested in boxing. But to see a statement like this being made, I'm telling you now, Saturday night, you'll see a different crowd there. People just going there, people just going there just to support, to say, you know what, good shout. Because I know loads of people that have never been in touch about going to watch boxing, all of a sudden want to come and watch this. Because it's a statement, it's something iconic, you know, so I think it's a good shout, and I think it'll be a good night. I think it'll be a really good night. I know there's at least 2 banging fights on there. So I'm looking forward to it.
Let's talk about Shields Marshall first. These 2 girls hate each other. Yeah. I mean, that's an understatement. If anyone's kind of saying that these 2 are acting up for cameras at any point, they don't know what they're talking about, because this is a rivalry that stemmed over 10 years from the 14-8 win for Savannah Marshall back in 2012. We saw the clip from Sky where they were both watching it back, and you know, Shields was going about the judges and etc. And it was good for them to kind of look back on that and see the contrasting views of how that turned out. But this has been a fight in the making for a long time, and yeah, it comes to fruition on Saturday night. What happens?
Stateside and here in the UK, I think these 2, especially when we film, the gloves are off. And when the camera goes off, you can tell when people are familiar with each other. It's just for the camera. With those 2, it wasn't. There was no familiarity between them at all. And once it done. Savannah is obviously not as much of a lyrical genius as Clarissa, and she knows that, so she stays in line. She knows to drop the little odd one-liner just to wind her up, to get under her skin, to rattle her, and that actually rattles Clarissa, because Clarissa wants to hear some noise. She wants you to get back in her face. She wants you to say something, and then in doing that, you know, then she's got you. You're talking her talk. Because if you stand there toe-to-toe with her and try and have an argument with her, she'll be hands down. But what Savannah's done is stayed in the lane, drops a little line on her, just reminds her what she did, reminds her who she is, reminds her that, you know what, you know, I'm 4 years your senior, and you'll never get the beating of me, and I've proved that. Clarissa doesn't like that. She doesn't like somebody having the ability to say that, and that's why in this, I think a loss to Clarissa will be more painful than it will be to Savannah. But the fight itself, I think these 2 girls will give it the absolute all. I think Savannah, the better boxer, the bigger puncher. Both had 12 fights. Clarissa only knocked out 2. Savannah's knocked out 10. So you know she can bang. I was speaking to Spencer Fear, and he was bang on right. He said, Savannah reminds me of Carlos Monzon. You know, how she fights, how she boxes, how she tries to execute an opponent. Whereas Clarissa, her character and her persona, her energy, is what beats a lot of the fighters, as well as the fact that she can fight. But I can imagine her actually walking, getting hit, getting hit by the shot, and not being able to help herself because her ego won't keep her in check. To use tactic instead of brawn.
Do you know what? One thing I will say is, right, you know, like the whole head-to-head concepts of like the two fighters, which has been happening kind of on other platforms, and everyone's kind of adopted this head-to-head content, shall we say. But I think when you do it, because you've been doing it a long time, you are like the king of it. You are literally the best person. When it's you sat there in the middle, I always think to myself, right, here we go. Because you know exactly what to do, you know exactly what game to play to get the best out of them. And I think that concept, which is good to see on other platforms when fighters go head to head, but when you do it, it is literally like...
I'll tell you why that is. I think, one, because I was a fighter. Two, because you've got to understand human behaviour. You've got to understand when... And you've got to be prepared to push somebody when they're talking shit. And then push them on it. So they go either back that shit up or back out of that shit. And so in doing that, you know, you're not biased. What you're doing is you're just putting them both under pressure. I like Savannah, but you know what? If there's a position where I think you're talking shit, I'm going to put you in a position where you're going to, I won't call her out, but she'll look stupid doing it. And so doing it that way, if you know fighters and you know how far you can go with them, then you can do it. I think the best one we did was AJ and Dylan White. You know.
Well, yeah, I mean, look, I would say, just to bring you back down to earth after my amazing compliment about you, which I mean 100%, but sometimes when I've watched your things, I do feel like I see a sway towards a certain fighter. Yeah. That might be tactical, I don't know, that might be you doing that on purpose to get the best out of the person that you're swaying against, etc. But I remember Dillian had the ump after one of them. I had the ump with you because of your questioning in that head-to-head.
But let me give you an example. Kell Brook against Amir Khan. Now, I know Amir Khan is far more sharper verbally than Kell Brook was. So you've got to kind of tip people off to say, oh, listen to me. And you've got to talk to them on over, listen to me. If you don't defend yourself correctly, you're going to look stupid. So I'm encouraging you to defend yourself. I'm not winding up, I'm not stoking up, I'm not saying reach across the table and slap him in the face. What I'm saying is defend yourself. You know, this is the time when you've got a chance to say something. It's probably only been an anticlimax in 2 or 3 of them. But most of the time, I'm trying to say to people, look, defend yourself. And that's the only help I can give you, defend yourself. And so I'm going to put you in a position where you either defend yourself or look stupid. So if it does come across that way, it's never meant to, because I'm a good friend of Dylan, you know, and I'm a friend of AJ. So I like both fighters. But in that situation there, a lot of stuff was said that had to be cut out, and you thought, yo man, you can't be saying that on camera. So that's when you got to say, boys, no, you can't do that sort of stuff. And I probably have to leave that bit there. But a lot of stuff he said that you've just got to leave out. So you've got to save some fighters from themselves.
I know all about that. Do you know what laxative is?
That's when I'm going to run through you.
Do you know what was better than the comment was Dillian's face? He's like, you're like,
So I thought, where are you going with this? Where are you going with this? I thought, you are just...
Derek being Derek.
But you know what, Derek, like when was that in Saudi? And Derek's a warrior. He's a tough cook. He's a hard man. He loves fighting. And there was a lot of feedback in regards to saying Derek was being disrespectful. He wasn't being disrespectful. I know Derek. And I get on with Derek. And Derek is a fighter, and he thinks like a fighter. He's passionate like a fighter. I'm talking like an ex-fighter. So when he's saying, Johnny, shut the fuck up, I'm like, these are conversations that we're having. You don't see what's said before, during, and after. So with Derek, you know, there's no love lost there. But I understand where his head's at the moment. But you know, in 5 years' time, in 10 years' time, he'll come to me and say, yo, Johnny, you know what? You're right there. I said, I know that. So I don't mind taking the hit now. But when people see these kind of things, it's not as personal as what you think in regards to with me. With fighters, you know, when fighters don't like each other, like Savannah and Clarissa, they don't like each other. There's no bullshit at all. They don't like each other at all.
Yeah, and these media outlets that air this kind of content and clickbait the title don't help your cause. But I think people that know, like watching it, I know listen, I know, like, as soon as the camera's off, you and Derek are hugging and laughing about, etc. And people don't see that kind of stuff. But in the moment, I mean, Derek was in a clip the other day with Calla Sal and Nisa Sal and Sonny Edwards, and he was calling the Salons like bent, dodgy promoters. Like, they don't take any
That's what I'm
offence.
saying, Derek, if you know Derek, if you don't know him, you will be terrified to be around. Like Mike Tyson, you don't know if he's going to go left or right. Derek's that guy, but he's a teddy bear, man. He's a nice guy that can fight, and that'll mess you up if it gets to that point. He'll flip a switch. So I just think people just don't. They just. If you've not been a fighter, you're not feel comfortable in that environment. If you have been a fighter, you're comfortable in that environment. You've been around him many times, so you're comfortable. You know when a man's going to flip.
I'm still not comfortable.
But you got free pass. So with that sort of stuff, I just think it's very good to read the fights. And like I said, with Savannah and Clarissa, these two at this stage now, there's a lot riding on it, and I think a loss will hurt Clarissa now more than it would Savannah. It'll hurt them both, but I think Clarissa, she has an amazing character, strong character, and her ego won't be able to check that loss if she loses to Savannah.
You know what, just going back to Chisora, I was having a conversation with one of my friends about Chisora the other day, and they said, I wouldn't want to be around Chisora. I said, why? I said, he looks off his head, like temperamental, like a bit unpredictable. I said, yeah, that's exactly what he's like. But you know what, if you was with me and we were sat around there, he'd be on you. He'd be like, you got kids? How are they? Even though you don't know them, he'd talk to you, he'd give you advice. He'll sit there and talk to you all day long about, and you'd have a completely different perception. What you're watching is these interviews and these mad moments he has, like fight related.
As long as you don't disrespect his kids and his missus, you're cool. Don't worry about telling him he's a pussy hole. You're cool. You know, apart from that, you know, just
He'll talk to you. He'll sit there and talk to the man on the street, the same as you, me, everyone.
Well, Dillian's the same.
And we're the men on the street anyway.
Dillian's the same, you know, from day dot. If
100%.
If you're running down Dillian, even if you're Joe Bloggs in the street, he'll come find you and say, yo, so what you saying? So when you know Dillian's after you, you think, shit, you want a chip. But he wants to get in your face saying, what you saying? It's like when we do this sort of stuff. I know whatever I say, I can sit in front of anybody and back up what I'm saying. I ain't saying it for now and again, I might throw a little bomb in there, but I know I can back up everything I'm saying, so I don't mind being roasted. I love it, because I just think, oh, come sit down and let's have a conversation. You know, and that's when you re-educate people. So with this sort of stuff there, the fight game is very different. Fighters, they'll hate each other outside the ring, love each other outside the ring, but want to kick the shit out of each other when the bell goes, and it's just like two dysfunctional brothers. That's just how it is.
Should we do a skit? Me and you, right. We'll do, you be Shields, I'll be Marshall.
Yeah.
Okay.
You lost right there. You lost right there. You lost right there. How many belts you got? What do you got? You got nothing. One. What?
I beat you in 2012. I beat you.
Is that all you got? Is that all you got to say? You got nothing. You got one win.
Where's your gold chain? Where's your gold chain? Where's the chain? Where the chain?
Let me just help you. Your accent is a bit shit. Mine's better than yours.
My Clarissa Shields will be better than yours.
I
want all the smoke. I want all of y'all.
Yes, please. A latte with almond milk. Thank you.
I want all the smoke. All right, let's not go here because we're going to offend one of them. Girls, good luck on Saturday night. I can't wait for it. I'm genuinely really looking forward to this fight night. We need to talk about, which could have headlined its own show in Alicia Baumgardner and Michaela Mayer. It's a brilliant fight.
That could be top of the bill, and that I think that'll be more spicy than the main fight, because these two have got a proper chip on the shoulder, can fight. Remember when Baumgardner came over and beat Terry Harper, and I mean she broke her up. And I'm like, wow, she came back and won again. First time she boxed out in the UK, and I thought she's grown with confidence. She's not got any illustrious amateur background, but you know what? She can fight, and that's it. What it's all about. She can fight, and she wants to fight. And this one here, again, wicked. You got two fighters that really believe they can win, and that's a great formula.
When I spoke to Michaela a few days ago, she said that, one of her better words, you're kind of basing her whole career around We Are in the UK over the Terry Harper win. Is there a point to that? She's saying that that's her only notable win that we can take notice of. But here in the UK, because it happened here in the UK against someone like Terry that we know, does she have a point? I know it was a fantastic win.
Against Terry Harper, who is unbelievably fit, who can fight, has got a mad engine. Look at the fashion of the win. So come on, you've got to give credit. So yeah, I understand she's going to try and chop down the performance, but you've got to respect what's in front of you, because if you don't fear and think it's nothing, you're going to get beat up. You're going to get hurt, because she's heavy-handed. I think her first professional fight, she knocks her opponent out in the first round. So she can bang, she can punch. If you don't respect that, or if you don't respect anything, respect that. So this to me, you've got two fit fighters that are hungry, that want to make a statement here in the UK, because the UK is a hot spot now for female boxing, and so now it's getting to the point where, you know, they want to make a name for themselves, and you've got to give all that down to. I'd give props to Katie Taylor for that, because she's opened people's eyes to the talent that's there. It's not female boxing, male boxing, it's boxing, and she said, look, I can do this, let me show you.
Some great talent on the undercard. You've got April Hunter, you have Olympic gold medalist Lauren Price, you have Georgia O'Connor, you have Shannon Ryan, Caroline Dubois. You have literally a who's who in the game of women's boxing, so yeah, roll on.
And you know what? I actually saw your interview with Eddie the other day, and even he complimented it. Even he complimented it, you know, and he doesn't really compliment other people's shows, you know. But even he complimented, said it's a good show. He wanted to do it himself, and so when you've got a man like Eddie, you know, bigging it up, you know there's something right about it. So I think it's going to be. I heard there's 12,000 tickets on. That's what
13.
Is it 13? Is that all?
Well, the O2 actually only holds 17,000, less than 17,000, a little bit under. So
I actually think more tickets went more than they expected, because now and again you'll get the odd comp ticket. My comp tickets are in the nosebleed seats, way at the top, man. And so it's good. It's good that it's good. You will just check the crowd. Check the people in the crowd. Get your camera, go in the crowd, and ask them if they've ever been to a live boxing match before. Ask the majority of them. I'm telling you now, most of them wouldn't have, and this is what this bill invokes. It gets people to talk about.
okay, well, before I let you go, obviously I'm going to ask you about a huge talking point outside of this fight week is this development that's occurred over the last 4 days involving Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury. So let's kind of backtrack to like 3 or 4 days ago, where Tyson Fury puts a very diplomatic, civil message out, no trash talking, saying that, come on, let's do it. There'll be an offer sent to you. There weren't no ranting and raving from Tyson, which made me think, all right, this is a different approach. We've seen now over the last couple of days, you mentioned that interview with Eddie Hearn, where Joshua, 258 management, Eddie Hearn have called it on and said, let's go. At 60-40, let's go. A lot of details to be worked out, obviously, but let's go.
So first of all, I've always said these two fighters want to fight each other. Regardless of what their team behind them say, these guys have always wanted to fight each other. Regardless of all the hullabaloo, they want to fight. The businessmen have probably scuppered it up. It's show business, and the business side of it is stop these guys from getting in there. Now it's got to the stage where you've heard it from the horse's mouth. Tyson Fury says, let's do 60-40. No nonsense, no X, Y, Z, you know. And if he means it, AJ's team have done a great move by saying, yeah, okay. So now if this fight doesn't happen, who are they going to blame? So they're going to blame Tyson Fury because it came out of his mouth. They're going to blame his team because he said, yeah, we've done that. We've agreed the rematch deal, blah, blah. Let's do it. What's the logistics? Now Tyson Fury, I don't doubt for a second, 3 days ago, that was a great idea to have the fight in December, 3 days ago. Logistically, is it the right time? Maybe for Tyson Fury. Anthony Joshua's just come off 2 losses now. His head might be up his arse a bit, so he's thinking, good time to get him now. Or he'd have thought it was a good time to get AJ anytime, but this fight can now happen. Anthony Joshua's team have come back and said, I want to do this fight. Now I want to see what excuse, if this fight doesn't happen in December, if there is an excuse, what excuse they're going to use. Because remember, Tyson Fury's retired unless you pay him half a bill. Retired, he was going to fight Derek Chisora, then he wasn't. He was going to fight, if I didn't get contracts by Monday against Usyk, it's not happening, I'm done, or all that sort of stuff. Now all of a sudden he's back out again. It's going to get to a problem like the boy who cried wolf. And so it's getting to the point like now he shouted it out. Nobody believed he retired. Now he shouted it out. This is that time. So if it doesn't happen, he's going to lose so much face. He's going to lose so much face because, thank you. He's going to lose so much face.
Master.
Genius. He's going to lose so much face if it doesn't happen. Because it came out of his mouth. So remember the last time he and AJ should have fought. The only person we didn't hear from was AJ. We heard from Eddie. We heard from Tyson. We heard from all Tyson's crew. And the only person we didn't hear from was AJ. So now for the first time, AJ public is part of their social media. Yeah, there, let's do it. So I need this fight has probably got more chance of happening now because the fighters have got a safe face. Tyson Fury's got a safe face. There can't be any reason why this doesn't happen in December. So the reality of it happening is very, very strong. Unless Tyson Fury thinks, you know what, I'm not going to box again, fuck you all, I'll just mess you all around.
Let's talk about the sticking point which may determine whether this fight happens or not. I think Eddie Hearn said yesterday, I know Eddie Hearn said yesterday that a date in November had been offered as part of this. Eddie Hearn also said that this wasn't offered, but he knows, or he believes he knows, shall we say, that a date at the Principality Stadium in Cardiff in December, and he said that would work for us better.
December's more realistic.
Yes.
Yeah, December.
But if Tyson Fury is saying that this fight needs to happen, I've heard now since yesterday,
December.
I've heard 3 different dates.
Yeah, but you said December. That's what everybody's talking
Who
about.
said December?
Tyson. Not in the first initial run. Let's.
I don't know. I can't remember.
Okay, well, I'm sure he did. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But then, so you can't start moving the goalpost, saying, okay, now let's do it closer, because this fight can be made. Tyson Fury's throwing it down there. Anthony Joshua said, yes, okay. There is no reason why this can't happen. The only reason why it can't happen, now the book stops with the fighters. It stops with Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua, because these guys have publicly gone out there and said, you know what, I'm the paymaster, you all work for me. Now I've said I want it, he said he wants it, make it happen. So these are down to the fighters. So if this fight doesn't happen, it's down to the fighters. I am not blaming Eddie's team, I'm not blaming Frank's team, it's down to the fighters, and that's where they lose face. And fighters are guys that they've got pride, man, they've got egos, so they don't want you to give them shit. So this fight, it should go on, unless they both sit down and agree, okay, let's do it after Christmas or whatever. But you know what, he's thrown it out there, and I think it was well responded to by AJ's team. I think it'd be a wicked fight. I personally wouldn't have said, if I was in AJ's team, I'd have said, listen, let's get your head right, let's get over the upset of this. But it depends on how well they know. Let's get over the upset of this. We don't know. Let's wait. Let's be patient. But this might be the only chance he gets.
Is 60-40 a fair split?
Yes.
Yeah.
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
Because Tyson Fury's not lost. Tyson Fury has proven he's the best fighter in the world. Anthony Joshua, unfortunately, has lost 3 times. So he's got to sit back and kiss ass. Think, all right, you're the boss on this one. Until, if I beat you, then the tables turn. But if before AJ's last fight, I said, what will his motivation be if he lost? This might be his only motivation to fight against Tyson Fury.
Johnny, I see a few comments yesterday about, because Joshua obviously over the last year has had 2 back-to-back losses against Usyk, and I think it was Eddie Hearn as well that said yesterday that Tyson Fury and his team are probably looking at that as the best opportunity now off the back of 2 losses. But yeah, but for Anthony Joshua, and I know you touched on it a few minutes ago, but for Anthony Joshua, off the back of 2 losses, to go in with Tyson Fury, when the original plan for Anthony Joshua, according to Eddie Hearn, was to take a top 10 to 12 opponent in December. To jump in straight now with Tyson Fury, what do you think about that?
It depends on how fragile he is mentally. Physically, I think he was the best he'd boxed. He just came up against somebody that he'll box 100 times and probably only beat once. I think that performance from Anthony Joshua would have a better chance of beating Tyson Fury than the previous performance of Anthony Joshua. So yeah, it depends on how it's affecting him emotionally. I do want to look an example. Kell Brook and Amir Khan. Kell Brook, his appetite for the fight game was dwindling, and then it came to Amir Khan. The boy trained for 6 months. You know, that was the only fight that got him up there, and he's retired because that was the only guy that could motivate him to train and commit so hard. For Anthony Joshua, Tyson might be that only guy that'll motivate him. It's not about anything else about that win, against that guy. So it might be just this fight. But yeah, I would probably advise him. I would have probably advised him, say, yo, listen, let's just get our head right, because it's still ain't. That fight just didn't done Saturday night. What we saw, you know, it just
might not listen to that advice though. If Fury's put to him on a plate, then
he's put to him on a plate, and that's what I'm saying. So we think Saturday night was done. We saw what happened in the ring. We saw what happened in the press conference. He's got stuff he's got to deal with now. Even now, he's dealing with it. He's got to get his head around a lot of things, and I understand that. You just see what's on the show, not what's happening behind closed doors. So for AJ, is he thinking from his heart? Is he thinking from his head? Is he thinking from his ego? It's what his motivation is, and if it's to beat that guy, I can imagine he could bring himself up to fight and box to the best of his ability against Tyson Fury. But if he loses, that'll be crushing to his career, to his confidence, to everything about him. And and I will stick to that could be his last fight if he lost to Tyson Fury, depending on the fashion of the loss, because 3 losses back to back, you know, against guys that you know have got the better of you. He's not a prize fight, so Anthony Joshua's not going to go in and say, I can get a load of money here. You can tell by the brand, you can tell by the stuff he says. You know, it's passion, it's heart, it's for real. It's not just about the dough. So I think a loss to Tyson Fury, and I'm not saying a lose, no, let's not get it wrong. The loss to Tyson Fury will crush him. A loss to Tyson Fury, then I would be very surprised if he carried on boxing afterwards. But what I'm saying Tyson Fury is the only fighter that he could get his ass out of that, you know, in gear form, mentally, physically, emotionally, because it's that fight.
I know you got to go up to do some work, paid work.
Oh shit, I don't get paid for this. You bought me a coffee.
I can pay you. What do you want?
No, I seen your kind of pay. That's right. Yeah, that's right. You don't like
I
that.
looked over that, so who's going to do that?
You do that to me. Clifton
I do it in a nice way.
No, you don't. You grab my balls, man.
No, what? What? One question before I go, and just answer it in one word. Don't even elaborate on it because we're running out of time. Does the fight happen, AJ Fury, this year?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it happens. Because they've got nowhere
Right,
to
so
go.
by the way, anyone listening wants translation, that means the fight is definitely not happening. Johnny's backing that to happen.
No, man, the man said it now. Yeah. He's put it on the line. It's got to happen. It's got to. They've said it.
Is it a case of each party? We're calling each other's bluff on Frank Warren and Fury's side, to Hearn and 258 and yeah.
So maybe Tyson Fury's mouth might have business-wise got him in trouble. Let's just say, oh shit, listen, that's not going to work, because AJ soon said, yeah, right, let's do it, man. I'm fight fit. And they'd be like, oh, okay, you know, it's done. No argument about this.
It might be the other way around though.
It might be the other way around, but you know what? He wouldn't say it if he didn't want to do it, would he? That's it. He wouldn't say it if he didn't want it, because now AJ's come out. He posted this thing out to say, let's do this thing there. You know, so now the buck stops with the fighters, which is why there's more chance of it happening, because both fighters have said yes. And so therefore you don't want the reason, you don't want people to walk, you don't want to walk in the street and people say, you didn't fight because you pulled out.
Is someone bluffing then, do you believe?
I think initially there could have been a bluff going on there, but now it's turned into a real scenario.
Right, Johnny Nelson, thank you very much. Talking to IFL TV. We look forward to this weekend at the O2, live on Sky Sports.
See upstairs, man. See upstairs.
They see me rolling.
I'll do a backing nicer thing with you in a bit. All right, later.
Yeah, I put my dad in the street against a heavyweight.
I've gone back to the dad. I've punched him a few more
There's
times.
5 blokes outside my front door. You coming out?
One hell of a fucking story, so stay tuned.